The New York Giants have made a strategic and somewhat surprising move by signing Jameis Winston to a 2-year, $8 million contract. This acquisition has sparked a flurry of speculation about the Giants' future plans, especially concerning their quarterback situation. Winston, a former #1 overall draft pick, has had his fair share of ups and downs in the NFL, but one thing remains clear. He brings experience and a strong leadership presence to a Giants organization that has struggled in the passing game for the past few seasons. This move is not just about the immediate future, though. It signals that the Giants are still very much in the mix for a potential rookie quarterback in the upcoming NFL draft. Sitting at the 3rd overall pick, the Giants have a rare opportunity to secure a top-tier talent such as Shadar Sanders or Cam Ward, 2 of the most coveted quarterbacks in the 2025 draft class. The addition of Winston doesn't close the door on this possibility, but rather enhances the flexibility of the Giants' decision-making process. With Winston on the roster, the team now has the option to draft a rookie quarterback and develop him behind Winston for the future. Winston's role with the Giants appears to be one of mentorship and support, especially if they opt to bring in a young signal caller. His experience as a starter in the NFL, including a stint with the Cleveland Browns, positions him as a valuable bridge quarterback who can hold down the fort while a rookie gets acclimated. His presence could also bring stability to a locker room that has seen its fair share of turnover in recent years. Teammates and coaches alike have praised Winston's leadership, and he has expressed a willingness to serve as a backup, knowing that the future of the quarterback position might belong to someone else. The signing of Winston also has implications for the Giants' potential pursuit of other veteran quarterbacks, including the possibility of acquiring Aaron Rodgers. The 41-year-old quarterback is still in the midst of his free agency saga, having met with the Pittsburgh Steelers recently, though no deal was reached. While the Steelers remain a viable option for Rodgers, the Giants' decision to bring in Winston may have somewhat diminished the immediate need for a high-profile veteran like Rodgers. However, with Rodgers still available, it's not out of the question that the Giants can make a late push for him, depending on how the situation evolves. For the Pittsburgh Steelers, the search for a quarterback continues, and Aaron Rodgers remains a key part of that equation. If not Rodgers, the Steelers may have to pivot to other options, such as Russell Wilson, though it seems the door is closing on that possibility. Wilson, once considered one of the top quarterbacks in the league, is now searching for a new home after a series of disappointing seasons. The Steelers' preference for Rodgers could leave Wilson with fewer opportunities, potentially forcing him to consider other teams like the Cleveland Browns, or even staying patient and waiting for an injury or mid-season vacancy to open up. The quarterback carousel in the NFL this offseason has been a spectacle, and the Giants' decision to sign Winston adds another layer of intrigue. With Winston on board, the Giants have a viable starting option, but their eyes remain firmly fixed on the future. Whether they draft a rookie quarterback with the 3rd overall pick or trade up to secure a top prospect, the Giants are positioning themselves to build a team that can compete for years to come. In the end, the NFL's quarterback market is always in flux, and the Giants signing of Winston is just one piece of a much larger puzzle. As the draft approaches and free agency continues to unfold, the dynamics of the quarterback market will likely shift even further, with the Giants potentially holding the key to one of the most important decisions of the offseason. The Giants' quarterback room may still be a work in progress, but with Winston in the fold, they are taking a significant step towards stabilizing the position and laying the groundwork for future success.